the bard's pipe, and tobacco pouch. Johnny would never have left them on purpose. Reggie felled the last of the undead. Bertle appeared, calling for help. A young rat was under attack. Reggie and Bertle rushed to his homestead. Not a horde, but Crocus Khan. This fearsome Toad King rode his lizard steed into many a battle. It's rumored that 1 in 8 frogs can trace their lineage to the great Crocus. But this old toad would sire no more. With Crocus defeated, Johnny and Bertle thanked Reggie for his help. Reggie hoped in the future they would find safer and less pungent places to trade. had asked the king to meet the bards in the cellar, he had a grand vision for the Crimson Keep's dark storeroom. Rex's plan was to convert the dank cellar into a bustling pub, if some rat could gather the materials. Reggie was happy to find what they needed, if for no other reason than it may stop so many bards disappearing into the crypts. The trader was relieved to hear the bards had a trade to fall back on for when this musician fantasy inevitably failed, so he offered a good price. Having the necessary materials, Reggie handed them over to Rex and the bards. Reggie wondered if they had even a basic understanding of construction. Reggie could see himself spending many a night in The King's Tale, basking in the music, sipping red berry wine, and regaling the rat folk with tales of his battles, whether they wanted to be regaled or not. Demolition rarely lost in the arena, but new challengers were always keen to try their luck. Mohammed Moli made a name for himself with his swift feet and swifter paws, but Reggie could roll like a hedgehog and pounce like a bat. This swift-clawed champion was as light-footed as any dancer of the Bolshevik ballet, but not nimble enough to overcome King Demolition. Reggie's renown in the arena brought challengers from every corner of the known ratdom. From the cold rivers of the north came the brutal Billy Von Dam. This beaver's bite wasn't enough to stop King Demolition. Reggie wondered if he gained any fans among the beaver folk. This would be a true challenge, unleashing wave upon wave of foes on Reggie. He hoped he had the iron to go the distance. Exhausted, Reggie stood over his defeated foes. He had truly earned his status as a legend of Moletown. He wondered if he preferred glory to duty. The Grubbuster armor was Molekind's ingenious defense against even the most vicious grub bites. Reggie wondered how it would stand up to his sword. of the Grub Buster suit didn't stand a chance against King Demolition and his trusty sword. Reggie wondered if the moles would make him a Frog Buster suit. Captain Blacktail, a treacherous pirate, notorious for his adventures across the three seas. Reggie wondered if he was as fearsome on land. Scurvy sea rat put up a good fight, but Reggie thought the captain might be better off sticking to the ocean. Rabbits of White Whiskers had sent their most agile warrior. It would take more than a stick. Come. Gray Ears put up a hearty challenge, but his grand hops were no match for Reggie's iron will. Dennis had returned with a vengeance. Fully armed to the whiskers. He'd already lost one tournament. Determined he wouldn't lose another. Dennis once again felt the bitterness of defeat at his younger brother's paws. Eivor was an old ally of King Rattus. Side by side, the pair had fought frog scum together many times. Would Reggie live up to his father? Eivor Eivor happily admitting defeat. Reggie knew he had passed the old. A fitting reward for winning the tournament. Reggie was presented with the King's Key. It's a good thing Doug had eventually found it. as Reggie had been sorely tempted to break the lock himself. The king's chamber smelled of fresh lilac and gooseberries, while the bed glistened with crisp silk sheets. Strangely, a slight breeze blew from behind the bookcase. This half-rat, half-frog abomination must have been the work of his father. Reggie wondered whether this was the source of all the undead in the crypts. Another of King Rattus' secrets, best kept hidden. Reggie was greeted by the squirrel guide Zazu at the forest edge. She'd been sent to show the king the way to the festival, a secret path known only by squirrel folk. The forest was not at all what the young king expected. He'd heard the bright fir's golden leaves bathed the entire forest in light. There'd been no mention of these giant mushrooms that made the air heavy with spores. The bright fir's golden light fell on the forest clearing and caravans like an enchantment. The mood, though, was not festive, but worried. Zazu, embarrassed, explained the reason they asked the brave young king here was to plead for his help. The squirrel elder and a priest of the bright fir journeyed to the abandoned glimmer mines to harvest bright moss, and had not returned. With the golden light of the camp behind him, Reggie headed back out into the gloom in search of the mines. Signs were not promising. Outside the glimmer mines were vicious beetles. What had driven them from their cave home? The squirrel folk were in more danger than they knew. The squirrel elder's walking cane lying abandoned. If he didn't have it, Reggie wondered, how did he carry himself from this place? The rocks of the Glimmer Mines glowed with a blue light unlike anything Reggie had ever seen. Reggie wondered what the moles would make of this place. The Squirrel Elder's lifeless body lay on the floor, the priest at his side. Before Reggie could approach, he found out why they were trapped here. This was the nest of the Beetle glimmering grave, Reggie approached the still body of the Squirrel Elder. The Squirrel Elder rose with a yelp. He'd been entranced from the ritual smoking of extra potent bright moss. Unaware, he almost became the Beetle Queen's snack. Thanking Reggie for the rescue, they headed back to begin the festival. With the Squirrel Elder back at the Bright Fir, with a tankard of bright sap in his paw, the festival of Leaf's Fall could finally begin. No sooner had the Elder raised his cup into the air to begin his opening speech, came the clattering of wood and smashing of glass. To everyone's horror, a drunken squirrel had knocked over the table with the bright sap. The festival of Leaf's Fall could not continue without the rare and sacred drink. The Squirrel Elder turned to Reggie, asking if the brave young king would again save their festival and venture into the shrine of the tapped root to collect more bright sap. In the maze of bright fir roots, the spores were so thick Reggie had to wear his gas mask. Was this infestation the reason the bright firs were dying? The shrine of the tapped root stood before him, but the root looked damaged. Before Reggie could wonder what had done this, he got his answer. A root worm, bloated and enraged by bright sap. Had been banished from these parts for generations. Reggie had a feeling its presence meant something was rotten in the state of Bright Fur. To Reggie's dismay, the tap was broken. Reggie did not look forward to returning to the Squirrel Elder with no sacred sap and news of rootworms. Though shocked at the news, the Squirrel Elder had an idea. The tap was one of several made in the basement woodsmith workshop of Castle Dray. Perhaps Reggie could look there. This market stall sells all sorts of quality goods. A few coins spent here would spruce up the Crimson Keep nicely. Approaching the ruins of Castle Dray, Reggie's whiskers twitched at the familiar stench on the breeze. He refused to believe it, after all he'd done to be rid of them. It could not be. The frog scourge had returned. Pestilence on a sacred forest that could not be allowed to spread. A slapping of webbed feet from the basement. More pond filth waited below, and would soon feel his blade. The frog squatter was none other than General Lackhack, no better than a common thief stealing supplies. The moment he'd be taking today was his last breath. With the satisfaction of the Frog General dead at his paws, Reggie found the replacement tap. The squirrels would have their sacred sap. Reggie was surprised to find a mole in Bright Fir Forest. The mole was embarrassed. He'd got lost going from Station C-19 to Station 24-7. Reggie sympathized. Those tunnels were a tough route. Lost he may have been, but still enterprising. The mole had armor for sale, if the king had the coin. The mole had heard of this king of rats who traveled the underground, but never believed it was true. Perhaps Reggie knew the tunnels well enough to give him directions. The king barely noticed the journey back to the Bright Fir, dwelling as he was on the return of frog spawn to the ratdom. Where there's a general, an army must be close by. Reggie handed over the tap, but wished he could spare the old squirrel the pain of hearing frogs were in Castle Dray. The squirrel elder could not allow the festival to continue, knowing pond scum squatted in their ancestral home. Reggie did not need to be asked. He knew what needed to be done. Reggie could not believe. As Reggie made his way towards the ruins of Castle Dray, the stench of pond scum once again drifted in on the cool breeze. The familiar scent made him wonder why the frogs had suddenly reappeared in the ratdom. He'd heard tales of the great Castle Dray from his father's whiskers, but it was hard to believe this mushroom-pocked ruin was ever that once proud place. The evil frog spawn had been looting. These frogs believed they could make the central tower a new base, but Reggie would show just how wrong they were. The central tower. Whoever was collecting all these supplies would surely be at the top. The young king had thought his lust for revenge was sated. But he would not be satisfied until every frog in his kingdom had croaked their last. Seems he wasn't the only one here for vet. distance. Shield Maiden Yellowtongue was waiting, screaming the name of her fallen brother, War Chief Crownmort. Echoes of her last croak, Castle Dre was returned to peace. There was a shrine in the room, carved figures of Reggie and his enemies in Bright Fir Forest. The frogs had planned it all to lure him here.